You know, there used to be a time where Thomas and Friends toys were elite. You had Tomy, Golden Bear, Ertl, the original Wooden Railway and Trackmaster, Take Along, even Lego Duplo had Thomas toys in production. And one thing that these toys all have in common is the fact that they would stand the test of time. Even now, these toys are considered great, and in a lot of cases are highly sought after. Being a collector and a fan myself, I completely understand the sentiment, and oftentimes when I'm on eBay, I'll find some of those toys that bring me back to when I was a kid, and give myself a bit of a nostalgia kick. As a kid, I personally enjoyed the Wooden Railway, Take Along, and Trackmasters the most, and since I had these as a kid, a lot of the models that I do have are pretty messed up. So at times I do my best to get a newer and better version of these models, and that's what I was trying to do here when I would stumble upon the Best Boy, and not just a Wooden Railway James, but a 1996 version that's still in good condition. And that's what we're going to talk about today, as personally I feel as if these were some of the best Wooden Railway toys, but I also feel as if these models reflect a golden period in Thomas and Friends merchandising. And he's also my favorite character, so maybe I just want to talk about James. What are you going to do about it? So with all that being said, let's take a look at this classic version of Wooden Railway James. The first thing I noticed upon receiving this model was, damn, the box they put this thing into is cute. It's not as good as the original packaging, but look at this tiny box. It's adorable. It even has red on the side. But getting back on track, there were several things about this model that I found interesting. The first being the face, which if you look closely enough is a bit tilted to the right, but besides that, in my opinion, looks pretty spot on. His eyes are a bit weird, but the character is still captured very well, especially compared to the later versions of James. As I'm sure you've been able to tell by now, James has a bit of a stub funnel that looks almost exactly like the dome, just painted black, and being separately fitted I expected it to be plastic, but upon closer inspection it turns out that this is wood, which to me was definitely a shocker, and if I don't mention it somebody in the comments will. Yes, his dome is painted red instead of brass, or bronze I suppose, and though these aren't accurate to the actual James model, or really to the character, I personally don't really mind it. It still screams James to me, and the fact that they were able to make so much of this model actually wood is a big thumbs up and a pro in my books. James's Tinder is also a point of interest, as unlike most models of James or Tinder engines as a whole, instead of having separately fitted plastic coal, has the coal printed on top of his Tinder, which was a bit strange to see, but not a huge loss in my opinion. And while most Tinders and engines have their names on the bottom of them, as you can see here, James and his Tinder have none of the sort. Usually this would be found on the very bottom below the wheels, like here on Thomas, but looking at James and his Tinder, this is something that's not shared. In fact, the only printing I could find on James was on the back of his wheels, which all say Brit-Allcroft in 1996. Nothing really identifying to James. Only his era, I guess. And though these changes are definitely weird, regardless of such, this is still likely my favorite James toy, period. Of course, in a lot of ways, it's not the most accurate, but even with these inconsistencies, this model still remains one of the better versions of James that I myself have seen. Everything from the shape to the face just screams James and captures this character very well. He may have weird magnets, printed coal in a funny shaped funnel, and a red dome, but still remains one of the best James toys that I myself have ever seen. And looking at toys like this, it really makes me wonder, what happened? Just what happened? Oh, y'all, you happened, that's what you Now, I'd be lying if I said all of the new Thomas and Friends toys were bad. Even though I prefer these older toys, I'm definitely not above seeing a new toy that interests me and still buying it. Not every toy that's been produced by Mattel has been so bad, but when compared to what we once had, it's pretty clear, at least in my eyes, that the golden age is very well gone, and personally I just miss when cutting corners wasn't so acceptable. The fact that this model has so many inconsistencies and still knocks out anything that Mattel has made, personally I think speaks volumes. Now, I know this video was a bit different. I normally don't review old Thomas trains. Honestly, I'm more of a modeler, but I feel as if looking at things like this are important and really help to put into perspective the downfall that Thomas and Friends took in more ways than one. The merchandise we get now may not be that bad, but the fact we even have to say it like that, I'll always miss when everything just seemed to be right, merchandise and show-wise. And I have a feeling I'm not alone in thinking such. If you guys enjoyed, be sure to like and subscribe as there's always more train stuff on the way. Like I said, I know this was a bit different, and I plan to be back to the usual after this, but if you guys did enjoy and want to see more content like this, be sure to let me know down in the comments, as it was definitely a blast to record. And with how deep down the rabbit hole Thomas and Friends merchandising is gotten as a whole, it's always fun to look back at that golden era. And hopefully you guys had fun too. And as always, thank you guys again for watching, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one.